I create myself. I'm joking. My name is TJ Ngoma. My full name is Tembisa Tandisa Yandisa Ngoma. I'm from the Eastern Cape. I was born and bred in the Eastern Cape.
I'm Tiffani. I'm from Tableview, Cape Town, South Africa.
My name is Duda. I am from CAYA Team.
My pronouns are they, them. I am gender fluid, non-binary, pansexual, queer being.
My pronouns are them or their.
My pronouns are he, him. One of the most important things that I always feel like I need to share about myself that kind of impacts how people experience me and how people can relate to me is my queerness. I'm a queer Black male.
I am a makeup artist, fashion stylist, and a model.
I create myself. My goal is to create a platform and to create this existence where people can feel like they can be themselves unapologetically. They can stay true to themselves and feel like no matter what you do, you are valid, you are heard, you are seen and acknowledged and loved. I'm a freelance makeup artist, so that's another way that I create.
I create a lot of content for plus size male bodies. That's kind of like my focus right now. I'm a storyteller and an actor, but me solely by myself and what I'm really passionate about and what I think my purpose is to kind of represent queer plus size male bodies.
So it was really hard to feel seen and acknowledged in who you are. So a lot of it was dysphoria and gender identity crises because I have no idea who I am and what I want to be. And, there aren't any role models around to try and help me understand like, hey, there are these different labels or things that you can be. You don't have to be this cisgender straight person. Even if you were out of the closet, you were still kind of in the closet because you aren't able to really be yourself unapologetically. You kind of feel like you have to downsize your expression and who you are in order for other people to digest it easier.
Growing up as a queer person in that kind of community is very tough. Hence, you'd find that there's a lot of homophobia around queer people because a lot of people just simply don't know.
Having conversations with a lot of queer people, you kind of realize that not seeing queer people represented on television, even in your everyday life, and not experiencing queerness, you kind of have to etch out your identity. You have to kind of build yourself. The first time I saw a queer person, he was a Black gay man, and I remember seeing him and like my whole body went into like this shock because I'd never seen a gay man. So I was just like, oh my God, that's literally what I am. So I'm not alone, I'm not crazy, I'm not a weirdo. So it was alienating a lot of the time, but it kind of gave me the strength to build my identity from a real, honest, true place.
I think being any kind of creator in South Africa can be a bit hard. I think that people aren't really acknowledged as they should be because there isn't a very huge platform for queer creators specifically. I've only gotten into this queer creator energy recently in these past few months. So as this baby creator, it's actually been quite amazing.
It's difficult. It's a lot of learning and unlearning. You can't necessarily approach a queer creative the way you would a non-queer creative because your queerness is very much a part of how and what you create. Being a queer creative is still something that we're still kind of trying to discover and unpack and peel the onions and what's allowed and what's not allowed.
Being a queer creator in South Africa, I don't think a lot of people realize how much power we have as queer creators. So immediately when one of us walks into a room, you can literally feel the presence. I've got so much potential that I think the world would like to see and the world would like to hear my story, but I mean, we still have a long way to go.
The need for queer creatives is so small. There's a lot of competitiveness and a lot of individuality in it. We haven't really built a community and a union as queer creatives because they're always looking for that one token queer person. So because of that, we're all competing for that place.
No, Because there are so many people that are queer people that will say to me, oh my gosh, you were at that event, or you were at this place. I didn't even know that was a thing, or I didn't even know we had these platforms. I didn't even know, you know? So I don't think it's visible enough. I think that there's still so much more about the queer community and the queer events and spaces that need to be discovered.
No. It's a 50-50. 50-50. There are people that represent us, and there are people that I feel like would be able to represent us well, but they haven't been given the platform yet.
During Pride months, yeah. For the rest of the year, it's almost like we don't exist. Visibility is minimal. I'm always so blown away during Pride months and Pride days and things like that to see all these creatives that aren't necessarily given a platform to share what they do the rest of the time. I always find new people, I'm like, we were there. Oh, they've been creating for like the last 5-6 years. It's just they don't get the opportunity and the platform to share what they do.
I think any space that isn't, that is non-queer, it's not always welcoming for queer people, not because they mean to not be welcoming, it's hard to identify with the people that are non-queer and to create in that kind of space.
Yes and no. Some of our queers are still afraid to voice out their opinions when it comes to having to sit on a big table with a lot of people, especially homophobic people. So we don't really get enough time to really voice out our opinions. And most of them would rather keep their opinions to themselves, because the next thing you know, you might lose a job because of trying to correct the next person or trying to make the next person understand.
I don't think that there is a lot of queer and non-queer collaboration, but I think that also forms part of queer creators not being as recognized as they should be.
I don't see a lot of collaboration, if I'm honest, especially with regards to me. I mostly work with queer people, you know? So I think for sure that would be an amazing opportunity for us to share ideas and share experiences and be open to working with each other.
You'd find that there's a group of non-queer creators, and then you'd only find that there's only one queer person. And it's not really a cute thing to see. I feel like we have a lot to say, a lot to voice out, and a lot to show how creative we are.
I think a lot of people have this notion that if it involves a queer person or more than one queer person, then it's a queer thing, or it's only for queer people, and that's not necessarily the case.
The South African queer community is very special because we are a group of people that are not afraid of anything. We are very brave, first of all. We are very powerful. I believe that if the queer community would take over the creative space, the magic that would come out is amazing.
You know, we as a queer people, we have to build who we are from scratch because we don't get to see what's possible for us. So I think that's what makes it unique, is that it comes from within us. We don't have any external references to draw from.
I thought that I had to be a certain way, you know, to be understood, to be loved, to be welcomed, but that wasn't who I was. So when I was being my authentic self, that's when people were like, you're queer. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. I didn't realize this, you know, I just thought I had a different style. So I definitely think that being unique and being authentic and being queer, it feels amazing, and it attracts exactly the kind of people and the energy that you want into your life.
It's freedom of expression, first of all. You express yourself anyhow. If I want to wear a wig today, I would wear a wig. If I want to wear a skirt, I will wear a skirt.
Everything. The fact that I have my pronouns tattooed on my neck, the fact that I have my one hand long nails, one hand short, you know, to these chunky platform boots that I wear, to the makeup that is inspired by drag. And I definitely wear my rainbow colored soul on my sleeve because it's it's the best thing that you can do, is to just be yourself authentically. And yeah, everything that I do stems from my queerness.
A lot. I love color. As you can see my hair. I love seeing color. I love implementing colorful things. If you've been to Pride before, you'd notice that we are happy people. So if it reflects on my work that I'm happy, then I think I've produced the best work.
Oh man. Being queer is, it's magical, you know? I'm grateful for it because of my queerness. I feel like I get to see the world and experience the world in a way that's very different to what most people do, because I had to fight for my place and I had to fight to be seen. I have to fight to be accepted. And that alone, that drive and that fire, that power pushes you to live life in a way that's very freeing.
No, I'm definitely honored to be in something like this, because from a young age, I've never seen queer people being highlighted. I've never seen platforms for people. Not everyone is able to physically be in a queer space. Not everyone is able to physically go to queer spaces. So for there to be a place online that people can still go and see queer people being themselves and speaking about, you know, the LGBTQ plus community and their rights and educating people, I think it's very important.
There is definitely a need to empower queer voices and talent. I was honored to actually get the invite. I was very excited. As I was still sitting here in disbelief, but hey.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily feel like I'm being a tokened. I just am always honored that other creatives reach out to us and are like, hey, what's your experience? Share your voice. We want to hear from you. It's mad dope and it's super humbling, and I'm epically grateful.
I still feel like brands are just doing it because they know that there's a market in the queer community. It would really help if they would cover the educational side of it, educate people more about who we are, and create an awareness, if I may put it like that. So we don't just buy the merchandise. The merchandise must come with a message.
It's, I think, a very big pet peeve for a lot of queer people is when it will be like Pride Month and then all of a sudden all of the brands are, you know, love is love, you know? And I think that should be an all-round thing. I think we should constantly be celebrating the queer community, always educating one another, having these conversations, opening minds. I think it should be something that exists without this confinement of just being in, you know, Pride Month. I mean, include queer people in it. It can't just be the heterosexual, non-queer, cis people that are like, you know, let's talk about Pride, because it should come from the person or the people that are, you know, first point of view.
Talk to us. That's all you have to do. Talk to queer people. Talk to the queer community. Brands like to think for us and slap on a rainbow flag and be like, hey, you know, we're for you, but what have you actually done?
In high school, I always felt very restricted. I always felt irritated and angry, and I was constantly going through these identity crises, and especially because you were so confined to wearing this uniform. Your hair needs to be your natural color. You can't wear makeup, and that's 5 times a week, you know, for 12 years that you aren't able to be yourself, and you have to kind of fall in line. So when I matriculated, I shaved my head and I dyed my hair, and I just decided from this point forward, I'm going to stay true to myself no matter what. I'm gonna wear whatever I want. I'm gonna do my hair whatever way makes me feel comfortable. And since then, that's what I've been doing, and it's been amazing.
One highlight of my journey was when I used to do theater back in the day, which was a few years ago. And I got to feature in a theater story that was teaching people about the queer community. It was very exciting because it got to teach people about, as Black people, there's the rural side and then there's the city side. And it got to merge, like it got to teach the rural people about who these people are, what they're on about, and to actually have traditional ceremonies that was created for a man and a lady, but to make it like a man and a man, a lady and a lady, which makes it normal. Like we should be living like that, I think.
But one of the biggest life experiences that kind of changed and reaffirmed me and my queerness was when my queerness and my culture had to clash. It's when I went to the mountain and I got circumcised. It was difficult at first because their way of life and their teaching was clashing so much with who I was as a queer person. Out of that experience, I think I came out so clear on who I was as a queer person. I would never compromise my identity as a queer Black man for anything.
A few years back, when I was at my lowest, someone very special told me that I am a powerhouse. And only 2 years later, I'm starting to live that dream of being a powerhouse, and I'm starting to believe that I am a powerhouse. And it all starts with you.
Stay true to yourself always. The best thing that you can do is to follow how you feel most comfortable. What does your truth mean to you? Because when you start to live authentically, when you start to present the way that you feel comfortable, you will attract who is meant to be in your life. You'll attract the people that love you. You'll attract the love for yourself when you are your authentic, unapologetic self.
I live with the thing saying that you can touch the next person with your story. You don't know what the next person is going through, but with you telling your story, you might get them healed. You might get them, free.
I had a queer lecturer, his name was Jay Patha. I went to UCT drama school and he was the movement teacher and he was a queer man and he gave me some important advice. And it was simple, always share your voice for those who can't. It's literally your responsibility. Wherever you can and whenever given the opportunity to share your voice, to share your experience, do it for those who can't and those who couldn't. It sits with me all the time wherever I go. Wherever I go.